Hello everyone, my name is Anshu Kumar and I'm one of the math experts from QMath. We are the #1 math experts community in India and we make learning mathematics fun. We at QMath enable our students to look for the why before the what of a concept, and all our students learn the concepts by themselves just by working on them. So I welcome you all to our channel, the NCERT Class 7 Math, where we will be posting videos on concepts and questions of different topics of this grade. So if you like this video, do share it with your friends, click on the like button, do subscribe to our channel and also click on the bell icon. Also, if you want a live one-on-one session with one of the QMath certified teachers, do check the link in the description to enroll with QMath. And if you register with that link now, you're going to get one free live online demo session with us. So in today's video, let's learn about lines and angles. We'll also learn how to identify and define complementary and supplementary angles. So let us first see how to identify the different types of lines. So number one, a line segment has two endpoints. For example, in this diagram, P and Q are the two endpoints of this line segment, PQ. Now, if we extend the two endpoints or the two ends of this line segment endlessly, we are going to get a line. For example, in this diagram, AB represents a line. Now, if we extend only one end of a line segment, we are going to get a ray. For example, here, OP is a ray. Now, let us see how angles are formed and how do you define it. Now, angles are formed when a pair of lines or line segments meet at a point. For example, in this case, the line segments AB and AC meet at the point A to form the angle A or angle BAC or angle CAB. Now, all these three angles are representing the same angle. Now, you can take any order of points, but you'll have to remember the middle letter represents the angle formed. Here, AB and AC are the arms of this angle formed, and A is the vertex of this angle. Let's take another example and let us consider that lines PQ and RS intersect at a point O to form four angles. They are angle POR, angle POS, angle SOQ, angle QOR. Now, for angle POR, PO and RO are the arms and O is the vertex. Now, similarly, can you identify the arms of the other angles formed here? So this is an activity for you. You can post your answers in the comment section and we'll see how many of you got this one correct. Moving on, let us now look at some of the real life examples of angles formed. Now the first example, let's take a big watermelon. Let's divide it into half. Let's cut it into half. If we look at the cross section, and again, we'll have to divide it into different sections to give it to different people. So once we do that, we'll see that each section represents an angle formed. The second real life example would be if you see a ladder resting on a wall, so definitely the ladder forms an angle with the wall. The next example would be like this chair on which I am seated. So this part of the chair makes an angle with the base of the chair on which I am seated. The next example could be if you look at the hour hand and the minute hand on a clock, you see that at any point of time they form some angle between each other. So these are the few real life examples. Now you can look for different examples and trust me, you will get a numerous examples around you of angles formed. So you can post some of them in the comment section below. Now moving on, let us now see what are complementary and supplementary angles. For that, let's first look at these two angles, 30 degrees and 60 degrees. Now, if we add these two, the sum would be equal to 90 degrees. Similarly, let's take one more example of two angles, 25 degrees and 65 degrees. If we add these two, again the sum is 90 degrees. So from here we can conclude that if the sum of two angles is equal to 90 degrees, then they are called complementary angles. In this sum, one angle is called the complement of the other. Let's take a few more examples to understand this. So if we have 20 degrees plus 70 degrees is equal to 90 degrees, then we can say that these two angles are complementary angles and they are also complement of each other. Similarly, 41 degrees plus 49 degrees is equal to 90 degrees, where we can say that 41 degrees and 49 degrees are complementary angles and are complement to each other. Let us now look at some more examples. Let us look at a couple of more angles. So 60 degrees and 120 degrees. If we add these two angles, the sum would be equal to 180 degrees. Let's look at a couple of more angles, 68 degrees and 112 degrees. Now, if we add these two angles as well, we are going to get a sum of 180 degrees. So if a pair of angles add up to 180 degrees, they are called supplementary angles. Let's take a few more examples. So basically, if you add 100 degrees and 80 degrees, the sum is 180 degrees, and both the angles are called supplementary angles, or both the angles are also called supplement of each other. In the last example, if we add 135 degrees with 45 degrees, the sum would be equal to 180 degrees, and both the angles are supplementary angles as well as supplement of each other. So these were the concepts and these were the definitions using which you can easily identify and define complementary and supplementary angles. Let's now work on some questions and let's see how can we use the definition and the concept to work on those questions to get the answers. So in this question, we have been given a group of angles and we'll have to identify whether they are complementary, supplementary, or none of these. Let's work on the first group where we see one angle is 48 degrees and the other angle is 52 degrees. Now we know the definition of complementary and supplementary angles. So let's first find the sum of these two angles. Now if we add these two angles, so 48 degrees when added to 52 degrees, the sum is equal to 100 degrees. Now 100 degrees means it's neither complementary nor supplementary. So clearly we can state here that this is none of these. Let's now move on to the next group where we see the first angle is 35 degrees and the second angle is 55 degrees. So let's add up these two angles. So 35 degrees when added to 55 degrees would give us the sum equal to 90 degrees. Now since the sum is equal to 90 degrees, we know that a pair of angles when added together gives us 90 degrees. They are called complementary angles. So yes, we can say that 35 degrees and 55 degrees, they both are complementary angles. Let's now work on the next group where we have 105 degrees and 65 degrees as the two angles. Let's add up these two angles. So 105 degrees plus 65 degrees would give us a sum of 170 degrees. Clearly, this is neither complementary nor supplementary. So none of these. Let's work on the last group where we have two angles. One is 50 degrees, one is 130 degrees, and let's add up these two. So 50 degrees when added with 130 degrees would give us 180 degrees. Now since we know that the sum is 180 degrees, so we can say that these two angles are supplementary angles. We just saw that using the definition of complementary and supplementary angles, it's very easy to answer these questions. Let's now move on to the next question. So here we have been given a question where it's given that the difference in the measure of two complementary angles is 32 degrees, and we'll have to find the measure of the two angles. So let us solve this question. So let us assume that the angle is x. So we assume that the angle given to us is x. And it also says that there are two angles. One is a complement of the other. So let's now see that if the angle is x, what will be its complement? So if the angle is x, its complement would be 90 minus x. Now how to know that this assumption is correct? Because we know that an angle when added to its complement will have to give us 90 degrees. Now we clearly see here we have plus x and minus x and both gone, so we get 90 degrees. Now this is a small exercise which we can do just to check that the assumption which we have taken is correct or not. So yes, once again we have an angle x here and its complement is 90 minus x. Now it says in the question that the difference in the measure of both these complementary angles is 32 degrees. It means that the difference between x and 90 minus x is equal to 32. So we get to this equation. Now let's solve this equation to get the value of the variable. So if we remove the brackets, we get x minus 90, and this minus would make it positive. So positive x equals 32. On the left hand side, if we combine the two x, we'll get 2x, and we transpose 90 to the other side, we get 32 plus 90. So in the next step, we get 2x equals 122, or x equals 122 over 2, which is going to give us 61. Now clearly the value of the angle which we had assumed is 61, and its complement would be 90 minus 61, that is nothing but equal to 29. So these are the two angles which they are asking us to find in this question. Now just to cross check, you can say that if the difference, or what is the difference of these two angles? Now clearly if you subtract 29 from 61, you're going to get 32. Hence the answers which we have got here, that is the value of the two angles, are 61 and 29. Let's now move on to the next question. So in this question, we have been given two supplementary angles where there is a condition given that the measure of the larger angle is 65 degrees more than the measure of the smaller angle. So here we have been given a question where we have been given two supplementary angles, and there is a condition given here where it says that the measure of the larger angle is 65 degrees more than the measure of the smaller angle. We'll have to find the measure of both the angles. So it's quite similar to the last question, but yes, here we have to deal with supplementary angles. So let us first assume an angle. So let us consider that the angle which we are talking about is angle A. So clearly if we have angle A and we are dealing with supplementary angles, so what will be its supplement? So supplement of angle A is 180 minus A, because we know that the sum of these two supplementary angles will have to be 180. Now let's look at the condition given in the question. It says that the measure of the larger angle, let's consider the larger angle is A. So the measure of the larger angle, that is A, is equal to 65 more than the measure of the smaller angle. So 65 more means it has to be added to the measure of the smaller angle, which is 180 minus A. Now let's solve this equation to find the value of A. So if we solve this, we get A equals 65 plus 180 minus A. Now we transpose negative A to the left hand side to make sure that we have the variables on one side. So negative A when transposed to the left hand side would become positive A. So twice of A equals 65, and 185 would give us 245. So A is equal to 245 over 2, and this is going to be equal to 122.5. So the value of the first angle A is 122.5. Now let's see what is the value of its supplement. So let's substitute the value of A here. So 180 minus 122.5 would give us 57.5. So just to check whether you've got a correct answer, what you can do is you can find the difference of these two and you can check whether it's 65 or not. Now you just saw that how we can use the concept or the definition of complementary and supplementary angles to get these answers. So in this case, the two angles are 122.5 and the second one is 57.5. Now, wasn't it easy to identify the different types of lines to see and understand how angles are formed and what are complementary and supplementary angles? So use these concepts to solve questions from your textbook. If you have any questions, to post it in the comment section below. We'll definitely answer all of them for you. Remember, if you like this video, to share it with your friends. Click on the like button. Do subscribe to our channel and also click on the bell icon. Also, if you want a live one-on-one session with one of the QMath certified teachers, do check the link in the description to enroll with QMath. And if you go and register the link now, you're going to get one free live online demo session with us. So that's all for today's video. I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye and have a good day.